yang zen我这你白马有那些色着或者看着忙不这些色大这些神界我是小色我这还是我见一见了江苍白马给色中国了两真就我这一白马用那些色茶或者看着那个红儿接近夜色大着寻迹老些相思个白马似的见一见了相残白马给咱东坡两层就我看着你白马就那些色着看着忙不这色大这世界老是相思我人白马随的我见一见了江苍白马给这东坡了样子就我这你白马就那些色着或者看着忙不这色大这些寻迹老是小色古人白马随的我见一见了江苍白马给色样子就我这你白马就那些色着或者看着忙不这色大这一寻迹老些相思我这白马随的我见一见了江苍白马给色中国了两层就我这你白马就那些色着或者看着忙不这色大这一寻迹老是相思我人白马随我见一见了相苍白马给色东坡了真就我这你白马用那些色着或者看着忙不这色大这寻迹老些相思我人白马是 Any Teranga Sukare Senatanita Dinima Katsanchi Langi Tani Jushati Dama Instant Jushat Ranche Cordara Ranche Cordela Tani Yangaraso League Ramjin Lee Ramjin Senacoson Maraso League Ramjin Tam Any Tatani Sember Ramjin Rava any Sember Ramjin any Joshua Tambote League Ramjin, Nibate Sem Ramjin, Simbate Karsanata, Litan Sem Nigi Ramjin de Gansebo, Nimet Hakosmaina, Nimet de Tokmaina, Karsana, Irmet Tokwatan, what and Regatanita, Number Sumkuni, Tesamashina Samsons.
Okay, so what we've decided to talk about today is about basically, first, the nature of the body. What is the nature of the body? Second, what is the nature of the mind? And then the third topic from that is what the non-dual nature of both body and mind are. What is the indivisible nature of both of these? So this is what we are going to discuss today.
Titanga Sokutini, Semde Zoshi, Namjichu Namata, Sahakani, Kami, Semde Zoshi, Inayam, leading the Zochakayas, the read lead on Sem Nigarava, lead on Sem Nigi Ramsinte, Teni Hakoguyas, Sem Ramsin, Konajiga Ha, Guamato, Lig Ramsinte, Hakum Hamakosmaina, Tangasukas, Lila Deni Dalina, Nyaman which Cheguyera, not in the Tasutani, Lila Dini, Yaman which Cheguyere, attending the Tasutani, also Lindi Latini, also Tanjing, Soasabura, Matsesabura, also Matseantani, Lindela Dini Chegura, Tenedi, take it on Latinita, Kalimon Bochi, Kanisena, Kalisera, Kaka Kalit, Mama Botange, Chegures.
So in general, especially in Buddhism, whether it be the secret mantra vehicle or any of the traditions of Buddhism, when we talk about mind, we talk about mind being the main aspect. However, there's also the body, and so we need to understand, we need to realize both mind and body. If we only know the nature of the mind and we don't know the nature of the body, then it can be quite difficult for us. Why is that? That's because this body is the support for our practice. So in order to practice, we need to understand the body, and the body is also the support for our lives, in fact. So it is very important for us to understand the nature of the body as well as the nature of the mind.
Rinpoche taso ngaraso gitene leg ranjin de hakwa na ni ngaraso ge leg ni tangma de khanda ji ren de wa leg ni tang de khanda ji ni tang se na ko son leg ni tang de khanda ji ren de ni te hakwa de res de ji leg ni tang de hakwa na kara tan to yes na ngaraso li de la de ni da na ni ngaraso bin teni Matsede 간지 되는 뭐세그 될지 요러다 나라서 뭐세그 될지데 간지 되는 렌트 받지 공들어 뭐세그 될지인데 간지 준 공들 델라티니 되리 담비 추기 냠는 세야데 릴라티니 되리 담비 추기 냠는데 간지는 용고인데 전적인 내가 뭐지 갖고 그랬어 하고도 그랬어.
So, if we get to know the nature of our body, we get to know the condition of our body, we get to know its state, we get to understand its nature. And so if we know that, there are certain benefits to this. This is because it is based on the body that we have this human life, for example. And in order to accomplish the well-being of our lives, this is based on the body. And so if we know the condition of the body, then we can understand how to get happiness for this human life. And it is also based on the body that we practice the sacred Dharma. So understanding the body in this way allows us to accomplish these things.
근데 말아서 리튼데 가서 나타네. 리튼데 자침부레스. 리튼데 되는 자 총총들이 말했어. 리튼데 자침부로와 자 침부간에서 나가 추근하는 송반하는 말아서 리튼데 담줄 금리세가 여러분. 네 담줄 그 리튼 세는데 다 담줄 그 리튼 세야데 가서 나타네. 들제 탐지 그 제제도 그랬어. 이제서 나가서 들제 탐지 그 자완으로 되네. 제대로 말아서 무책은 대그 들지양 때문에 그제양 말아서 그 리드게 제대로 그랬어. 아니 되니 가서 나타네. 제 치마라서 바라와다니. 제 치마라서 바거든요. 가서 되겠더니 니 들지대양 다디가 말아서 린델라 되니 되니 들지대 좀 더고요래서. 근데 다소 말아서 그더니 리든데더니 담줄 그 리든 rinpoche 해야 돼. 근데 그더니 니급당 탈득 다음 제그 들지 준 이야기 니바요 바라와다니. 근데 그더니 배주요 봐. 던지기 말이 ren탕대 하고 그랬어.
So when we talk about our body, in the Dharma, we call this body the support. And this is something that's very precious. It's not something that's only a little precious or not very precious at all. It's actually very precious. It's very sacred. And in the Dharma, we refer to this as the bodily support with the freedoms and advantages. And so this bodily support that we have is actually the very foundation, the very basis for all happiness and well-being. It's the basis for happiness in this present life that we have now, and it's even the basis for all of our future lives. This very body that we have right now is the basis for all happiness. And so this is why it's called the precious human body with the freedoms and advantages. And so this very body is the basis for both temporary and ultimate happiness. So it's something very useful and it can accomplish a lot.
근데 이제 다서 나랑 솔라 담바 생각하는 나랑 솔라 요바 나랑 솔라 그랬더니 리본드 가르스나 나랑 솔라 요르 받더니 나랑 솔라 예다바 가르스나 되게 리본드 그랬더니 ren탕대 하고 그랬어. 나랑 솔라 예다바 리본드 그 ren탕대 하고 있다니나 대 가르스나 더니 맞아 배제제당 맞아 리본드 가르자 전부 임바 더니 대 배제제당 대라 되니 가르스나 우리 그 대치세야 돼 간지진 정거요 봐. 나도 소더니 가르스나 더니 시고 그랬어. 던지지 소이나 맞아 세대형 ren탕당당바당 세대 지지당당바 용도 그랬어.
So when we talk about the body, we're talking about something that we actually have, that we actually possess. And so right now we have this human body and we need to know that we have it. And then on top of that, we need to know that this is something very precious, something very valuable. And then once we know that, we need to know how are we supposed to use this body? Not just how are we supposed to use the body, but how are we to use this body to get happiness, to get well-being? And then once we're able to do that, then our lives will become very valuable, very meaningful.
근데 나라서 취시하고 다서 산지기 추송과 찍어라. 산지기 가르스나 된 지버시아 바다. 너 딘시아 바다 리얼에스트. 하고서 지버시아 바스는 이와 가라라. 이와 간이를 맞아. 이와 망보가니 시아바데를 지버시아 바라와다. 이와 마커니 늘 디달이네 땜바여가 늘 디니셔 봐서 지버셔 봐도 늘 디니 땜바데 리어레스 다른 논쟁 가르친다 된다 나랑 소비형 가르친다 이 대랑처럼 남진 가르친다 되니 참참나 지버셔 봐대서 연구여레스 망쳐야 됐다 돈다 참만 내가 상파 디니 이제 시리어레스 어떤 일이었어요.
So when we talk about the Dharma that was taught by the Buddha, there are generally two ways that it's presented. It's presented in a brief manner, a manner that kind of gets right to the point, and it's also presented in a very detailed manner, a manner that presents lots of stages, lots of aspects, and lots of divisions. However, mostly these teachings are presented in a brief manner.
근데 선지기 추송과 파 지버시아 성화에나 지버시아나다 주지고 제트지 동생 여러 와든 주지고 제트지 동하고서 주지고 제트지 동생 대파 지버시아가 이어진 시리어에서 니 서른도 디니 지버시아 성화에나 담시대 르파지국이 나오게 그래서 르파스는 학국이 더 나왔다니 르파 담시가서 서른도 디니시아나 아니 르파지국이 나왔다니 디바르테 디버타 말했어 더 디니시아 말했어 Rinpoche 찍고 나왔지 되게. Rinpoche
Rinpoche는 댐시죠.
Rinpoche는 가래. Rinpoche 남제 Rinpoche랑 Rinpoche기요. Rinpoche.
맞아.
Rinpoche는 가라가 인지가. Rinpoche는
Understanding.
말해. Rinpoche. awareness. 예.
하고 얘기 더 나게.
하고 얘기 더 나가. Rinpoche는 sama 하고 있다 그러고.
맞어.
하더니 인터넷 sama 하고 찍고 나온 이거를 봤더니. 근데 인터넷 받은 옛날에 티셔츠를 해서 늘 디나 르파지 부분만 되게 그랬을 늘 디니셔 말했어.
So if we're talking about the detailed manner, then that's presented in terms of these 84,000 teachings, right? So that's a very vast, very detailed approach. If we're talking about the brief manner, then we're just talking about in terms of just comprehending the meaning, just understanding it.
가능하신데스. 근데 이다서 나랑 소비 질라 가려였으나 나랑 소비 질라 미시바였을 때. 미시바 하먹고 왔던. 하먹고 왔을 때 지버시나 가려래. 니모 봐 제트지 동세 시그랬을 때. 제트지 동하고서 아니 술은 너 디니시에서 봐 있나? 아니 마시바 직북에 나오게 그랬어. 말바 직북에 나오게 그랬어.
So for example, if we're talking about not knowing, if we talk about not knowing in the detailed sense, then we talk about it in terms of these 84,000 kinds of afflictive emotions, right? If we're talking about it very briefly, this not knowing is just ignorance, non-awareness.
근데 이제다 알아서 그 마시바 되긴 난 같으니 알아서 가르치기요 말했어. 알아서 리그런진 시기요 말했어. 니 샘그런진 시기요 말했어. 리던 샘그런진 하마고와
So when we talk about not knowing, what is it that we don't know? Well, we don't know the nature of the body and we don't know the nature of the mind. And in brief, this is what we refer to as ignorance or unawareness.
가서 다 칠로지가 삼모 땅고 말해서 근데 가라서 칸 나라고는 삼모 땅고 해야 돼. 그래서 근데 이 나라고는 간을 삼모 땅고 해서 땅 가라서 그 샘대 간을 했는데 샘 그런신데라 삼모 땅이라 근데 가라서 그 리데 그런신 간을 했는데 샘이 가라서 리데 같으니 ramshinda samotara linde go nilixeboda linde kandechi chombare linde go ramshin kanderesani te haku goya de ke chambores linde tasni soso gotani kanala teni samotara teni de haku bayina tate teni chubutonda haku bares.
So when we talk about this term marepa, which means ignorance or unawareness, this is not something that we should think about in terms of it being outside. This is something that we should think of in terms of being inside. And so we should think, what is mind? What is mind like? What is mind's nature? What is the body? What is the body's nature? And so this is something we should think of in the sense of being inside.
근데 산지가 추 간다 송바래서나 산지가 추 담지 담에를 송바를 왔다. 주탐지 다음에 바래스 주탐지 다음에 봤을 때 당본인이 다음에 바래서 말이야 당본인이 하고서 당본인이 되니 그런 거 ramshen텔라 dak세지 저거 말했어 저거든 ramshen텔라 다 맞으면 온다 샘진의 취담비가 깎대라 오 샘진그 다 여반선 거였다 돈라 dak세다 가서 삼반나서 소나서 요 말했으니 다음에 봐시 송발 같은 같은 거 갔으니 다음에 버담 받대요 당본인이 무보게 니츠세고라 그 ramshen텔이 강인 받대 되니 송대요 받은 지했어.
So what did the Buddha teach? What did the Buddha teach? The Buddha taught that all phenomena are selfless. They are the nature of non-self. Not only that, he taught that all nature are not self from the very beginning. Their nature is not self, and self is not established. And this, we conceive of there being a self, but there's no phenomena do not have a self as we actually conceive of this to be. So the nature of things are taught to be like that. They're taught to have this selfless nature.
근데 따더니 주 간도 송발에서는 추탐지 돈이를 했으네. 추탐지 돈이를 송발와 추탐지 돈이를 세야 될 가능성이 되니까 디바당 마음바당 다다가 이와던 체로 말했어. 하고서 디 마음 다다 디슨 잡을 가능한 매봐. 되니까서는 그거 ram신 거라더니 얘는 동반이 그 ram신 레스니 얘는 동반이 그 ram신 임바 아니 되더니 송거를 했을 때 말했어.
And so the Buddha also said that all phenomena are the nature of emptiness. And when we talk about emptiness, then there's no difference in terms of what time it is. It doesn't matter whether it was past, present, or future. The nature is always primordially like that. It's always primordially emptiness.
야, 다든지 이나 아니 말아서 생긴 그 간지 삼모 당파르스나 가르스는 말아서 그 가르스나다 다지 시바나진 그 말을 빠되게 온게 마시바되게 온게 당 메발라더니 말아서 그 다튼 선발했을 다트 선발와 아니 추탐지 돈이 임발라 추탐지 돈이 그런 신데 하마고니 응보다 덴버 선발했어 응보트 바다 덴버 바 다든지 이게 되니까 쓰나
So, thinking like that, how do sentient beings conceive of these things? Well, because due to the power of ignorance, of not knowing, beings grasp onto a self where there actually is no self, where there's no self-nature. And because beings don't understand emptiness, they don't realize emptiness, they think that all of these phenomena are truly established.
말아서 시바 말아라. 상지고 송말. 근데 인디 타서 대라가 주담지 돈이 받대요. 말아 리피기 딱상 셴나요? 돈이라. 리피기요? 되니 좋다 그래서. 된저스.
So when it's said that all phenomena are selfless, it was actually the Buddha who taught that. It's not something that we've realized. It's something that was taught by the Buddha. However, even though it was the Buddha who taught this is something that we can discover for ourselves through reasoning. It's something that can be proven or validated by reasoning. And the Buddha also taught that these phenomena are the nature of emptiness. And this is also something that we can come to know through reasoning. It can be proven and established by reasoning.
근데 인디다서 다도서 참마 간들이에서 말한 손 출위가 온거. 그러와 출와 마시바 다지 마시바지와 대고 왕거 갈세나더니다. 강서 그랬더니 되니 다음에 받을라 닥터 송와라 받더니 추탐지 딤버 마저 받을라 말아서다 딤버 잡아던지 지달리나다 쟁기요랬어.
So again, all phenomena are the nature of emptiness. All phenomena lack any inherent existence. It is only due to the power of our delusion, due to the power of our ignorance, that we grasp onto a self where there actually is no self. We grasp onto entities or things being established when they're actually not truly established at all. And this is because of the power of our delusion and our unawareness, our ignorance.
뭐야? 당가라서 출비가 뭐라? 그러나 출비가 무슨 하고서 출비가 뭐라? 되니까 쓰는데 다 찍어요랬더니 찍어요 왔더니 알아서 왔더니다 찍어요랬어. 찍은데 다 송가라서 왔더니다 출비가 뭐라? 찍나더니 간지니 찍고 그래서나 다 그래서 알아서 중화가 잠신 대 총거리 중화선 하고서 사 치미롱 왔더니 아니 남기가 카메라와 중화 지어면 중화 응아를 왔더니 중화 응아가 잠신데 속에 있다리나더니 가서 그랬답니다.
So when we talk about things in terms of delusion, in terms of confusion, this is how arising or birth occurs, actually. And so how does this birth occur? Well, the birth occurs through the conglomeration of these four elements. We have earth, water, fire, and wind. And also sometimes a fifth is mentioned, which is space. And so when these gather together, that's when beings take birth.
Oh yeah. And then it also goes in that such a megon juma jesseade juma je any namki tani camera watan. So namki come that's in Joanga watan. Juma Puka namki comes a right. The name that namki comes and as Joanga lam then Juma nga dead and Nickerson. Tambu Ninika and Juma Gramjina to Gure Besena. And it took Gumares. I go on. 당본인이 종아라는 저거만했어. 근데 이제 다다 the 당본이 팀 종아가 남지는 마트인데 당복은 종아야 말이야. 하고서 사사 말하더니 당복은 사가 남지는 좀 맨날 살배.
사
말하더니 아니 말했더니 당복 사가 남지는 주요 말이야. 그 당본이 사가 남지는 주고 말이야. 당복 치치가 남지는 주고 말이야. 하고서 근데 이제 다서 다다 말아서 그랬더니 종아 제때 당본인이 종아가 남지는 들으려서는 당본인이 종아가 남지는 말했어.
So again, we talk about these four elements of earth, water, fire, wind, and sometimes we also add the fifth, which is space. And we might ask the question, well, are these elements established? But in actuality, they're not established at all from the very beginning. Primordially, they are unestablished. And so, therefore, is earth established? No, right? Earth is not established. Is water established? Is the nature or the element of water established as water? No. And likewise for all the rest of the elements, they're not established by their own nature from the very beginning.
근데 이제 다서 중화 지세야 된 거랑 속에 따다 삼도나 가르쳤다. 사치 명long 중화때 그러나 당분이 람신 그 접한다고 삼 단계 그랬어. 람신 그 접한다고 따게 그랬어. 근데 말했어. 람신 그 당분이 주고 말했어. 당분이 람신도 접성하이나 마서 라더니 중화도서 라강에 징차바이나 그래서 주양 따트고 말했어. 지루양 따트고 말만 있나요? 그때 말했어. 가르쳤나. 당분이니 그것들이다 중화가 람신 던리더니 주고 말했어.
So when we talk about these elements, these four elements, first we think that they're something established. That's how we conceive of them to be. We think these elements are something that are established and they're truly established. But actually, they're not established at all. Even from the very beginning, they're unestablished. If they were something established, then there would be no way for these things to change, right? There would be no way for the elements to change. So therefore, it's not possible that these things are actually established. So their nature is actually unestablished.
근데 이제 다소 가서 조반친부 갑라 가르치기 열에서 나와서 이제 가닥생 시기 열에서 그러봐 이제 가닥나 봐 가닥세야 그 돈당대 가래 가닥세야 그 돈당대 얘니 그런 넘버 답아야 말아 얘니 탐지했더니 중화 탐지 차냐 말해 하고서 중화 탐지 차냐 거 말았더니 가디 답비그 뭐라 중화 탐지 차냐 말했어 가닥그 뭐라 중화 차냐 그래 차념세 나고서 차념 찬양 그랬어. 근데 찬양이 어디 다 내가 이와면 봐 찬양이 어디 다 가닥 차가 그랬어. 근데 인디 다서 당번이니 알아서 그 시에 가르스 때 조칭 그 갑라 문제 남바데 가르스. 이제 가닥 하세요. 근데 지다는 이제 남바니 시에 그랬어. 나스다 동세 그거니라. 돈이 그거니 가르스나. 중화 탐지 그거 동바에 말았더니. 근데 동바 그거니 가르스나. 근데 간이 답하세 이제 가당라 무슨 지어와 아니 가르스나 이제 가당당 렌저sen 나만이자요 그랬더니 어떤 일이었어.
So when Dzogchen is being taught, there's this term, the Shikata, which means the basis of primordial purity, or the primordial purity of the basis, right? And so when we talk about this, it means that everything is of the nature of this primordial purity from the very beginning, right? It's primordially pure. And so this includes the elements, of course. And so all the elements are actually in balance. They're equal. There's no kind of separation there or division there. And in Dzogchen we talk about these two aspects, Nangtang, Tongbe, Chani.
Nangtang, Tongbe, Nangbe, Zhetang, Tongbe, Zhelan, Namani, Zaman,
So we talk about the basis of appearance and the basis of emptiness, or also the primordial purity of the basis and this spontaneous presence. These are what is taught in Dzogchen.
Number takpa imara, kani teni takpa, number takpa, tela karsina, zenun la sopa tang, chechung la sopa ra, chimbu da chong chong zangbo tang nama, tenji ge iwa zani mibig don res, ako song, tenji chigla ta, teni karsina, kadang seni tenji res.
So when we talk about this term in Dzogchen, the Tibetan is katak, it refers to the primordial purity of all phenomena. All phenomena are pure from the very beginning. And when we talk about this means that with respect to all phenomena, there's no difference in some things being great and some things being inferior, some things being large, some things being small, some things being good, some things being bad. Those kind of distinctions never exist in terms of their primordial purity.
Jetene ta nilu tombani sena de creste nilu tombani sena kani takpi geten nilu tombani kram jende kani takpa zochen gita de shi jamna chutamji ni kani takpa te karsena tan ta ti jete semjin tamche de chapta yores semjin tamche ke koraten li tang sem gram jende dara tini yini number takpa gram jende te koran tini kas chobri kayam meba tini na tamche da chapta yores tini indi ta so tini ta And
so with this term kata comes this Tibetan term shi, which means the basis. And when we talk about the basis or the ground, it refers to this true nature or true reality of emptiness. And this ground is something that pervades every single sentient being. It pervades all beings. And it pervades the nature of their body and their minds. And so this is something that there's no division, there's no kind of bias there. It's something that pervades all, and it's something that's present in everything.
tamchela teni iwa mebri yungsu zokwa chapa tendi jigla kasena teni jachi shohlong tang tawa sigres jachi shohlong tang tawa jachi shohlong tang tawa sena kale jakande yang machepa di shark shong tang dog shong kande yang malong ba ya go song jachi shohlong tang tawa sente ma so numa ni mongo shele ma kala bu de tsi kala la kale jachi shohlong tang jachi shohlong tang tawa ha go song
Migila
free from the space and
directions.
Yeah.
Space.
Spacious.
Yeah. Jambo.
Jakande machepa. Jakande machepa shokchigla tani jachimbu yobara shokchigna mena jachesoma.
That's right.
Tendo maima. Jakande machepa. Shokande malomba. Shark shokla yo logo shokla me. Bena shar shokla yo ne shokla mena jet shokla lonsora. Teni mare. Shar shokla yore ne shokla yore.
Free from the absence of.
So again, when we talk about this nature, it's something that pervades everything. It pervades all. So whether we talk about samsara or nirvana, it pervades both of those. There's no separation there. Even when we talk about Buddhists and non-Buddhists, there's no separation. It pervades everything without exception. And this is also something that's free from direction. We can't say, oh, it's in the east, but it's not in the west. It's in the north, but it's not in the south. It's something that pervades all of these directions. It's free from any kind of separation in that respect. So maybe here we could give an example. So usually the example given is space. So is space something that exists in the east or in the west? So right, it's not one or the other, right? It's something, it belongs to all, right? It's not just east or west, correct? And so also in that regard, is space Buddhist or non-Buddhist? Lenka Hindu. Go Tongsha. So there's no such thing as it being either Buddhist or non-Buddhist, right? So just like that, when we talk about this basis of this ground of primordial purity in the context of Dzogchen, we're not saying that it's something that's only Buddhist and it's not non-Buddhist, okay? That's not what we're talking about at all. When we talk about this ground of primordial purity, it's something that's completely pervasive, right? It's not limited in any sense. So again, when we're talking about this ground of primordial purity, it's something that's completely pervasive. It's very vast. It's not limited in any sense. And in Dzogchen, when we talk about this spontaneous presence, it's the same in terms of its vastness. It's completely vast. And so, likewise, when we talk about this term hundrup in Dzogchen, spontaneous presence, it refers to the fact that all of the qualities, all of the enlightened qualities, are already present primordially. So even all of you already possess all of these enlightened qualities. They are spontaneously present. And so, for example, generally people make all kinds of plans. So for example, they make plans to study something in particular, and when you're trying to study something, what you're doing is you're trying to familiarize yourself with that, and you're trying to develop that. But when we're talking about Rigpa in Dzogchen, right, this pure awareness, when you know this, this is not something that you train in. This is something that's just primordially there. It's primordially present. It would be a little difficult to try and train or develop something like that.
근데 인디다 서간스는 된다. 나타 윤든 탐지 예니 렌접 그치도 있나? 아니 나랑서가 간르치니 되더니 하마고 말했어. 나랑서 가르치니 가르스나다. 윤든 예니 렌접도 요바데 나랑서거더니 배치 딱 타고요 말했어. 내바데 진선 가와다 되르스는 나랑서보다 다지니 마시바라에 맞은 람진 소소가 람진 강의 바데 소소랑가 하마고와. 던지지 되려나다. 마소 추와 로르 와세가 와든 남진시게요. 추 로르 와테고 왕가 랑가 람진데 강의 바데 하마고와 잠식을 하마고와. 어떤 지달리나더니 가스나 윤든 렌르트 유바데요 마랑소 같은 베짓 타고요 말했어.
가르쳐
베짓 타고요 말했어. 윤든 렌르트 예니 리제 렌르트 나와. 리제 렌르트 예니 렌르트세디 윤든 담지 예니 여비가 돈에 하고서 여바지가 렌르트세 그래. 그러면 또 윤든 담지 예니 맨날 렌르트 봐라. 어떤 데인데 렌르트 유바데 가스나더니 마랑소 베짓 못해야 돼. 마랑소 찜 churwa lor wajik wangda shurwa dela teni dalina yundan tendrup tengaraso longchit tugu mebatan restan.
So again, we just mentioned the fact that when we talk about spontaneous presence, it refers to the fact that all of these qualities are primordially present in all of us. And so then the question might appear, well then, why haven't we realized this if they're spontaneously present, if they're already there primordially? Well, before we talked about this non-knowing, this ignorance, right? And when we talk about this ignorance, what is it? It's an ignorance of our own nature. And when we talk about this kind of ignorance or delusion, it's something that's adventitious. It's something that's temporary. And so it's an adventitious confusion of us not knowing our own nature. And so even though this spontaneous presence is primordially there, all the qualities are primordially present, we can't make use of this spontaneous presence due to our ignorance.